afternoon. Good afternoon. Come on, you guys are getting out of class, right? Because of this speech. Who's missing class right now? Well, you all ought to really be happy that I'm here, yes? Well, thank you, sir, for those kind words, and I want to thank you all for such a warm welcome. It's a pleasure for me to be in Auckland today, and I'd particularly like to thank our hosts at the University of Auckland for providing a forum for what I hope will be an important discussion, and for bringing together really such a distinguished group of people. It's great to be among so many students, so many faculty members, current and future leaders of New Zealand's legal community. Now, as one of this country's leading universities and one of the world's really preeminent centers of higher education, this institution has served as a training ground for generations of students who have gone on to shape really every segment of Kiwi society, who have positively impacted countless industries and individuals around the world, and who have been instrumental in writing every chapter of the rich history of this great nation. Now, of course, despite this university's well-deserved reputation as a place of academic rigor and a meeting ground where issues of consequence are discussed and addressed, as your motto states, by natural ability and by hard work, the University of Auckland first arose from very humble beginnings. Now, when it was formally opened 130 years ago this month, its population totaled less than 100, including just 4 teachers and 95 students. Its facilities consisted of an old courthouse and a disused jail. And the jail's not still in use, I assume. And its most popular programs helped to train teachers and law clerks, I guess as you call them, whose efforts to expand educational opportunities and strengthen New Zealand's legal system undoubtedly had a profound impact on generations of Kiwis that followed in their footsteps. Now, there's no question that you've come a long way since those days, but I'm pleased to note that your noble mission and ambitious vision for the future really remains much the same today. And that's why, as we gather this afternoon to confront current challenges, to achieve common goals, and to honor the values that have always joined our nations together, I really can think of no better place to reaffirm that spirit of optimism that once drove your founders to assemble in an old courthouse, confident that their students would someday change the world, and then set out to make that dream a reality. Now, it's a similar spirit that brings me to New Zealand this week to meet with your Attorney General and our counterparts from Australia, Canada, and the United Kingdom. For the United States and for our quintet allies, these meetings present really an important chance and an opportunity to exchange ideas and to share expertise, to advance the principles of peace, security, and equal justice that form the common foundation for our respective legal systems, and to explore strategies for working together to address both domestic and international challenges in order to build a brighter, safer future that all of our citizens truly deserve. Now, although we gather in a time of unprecedented difficulty, at a moment of really true consequence, I believe we can all be proud of what our nations have achieved in recent years. By collaborating closely in common cause and in good faith and with mutual respect, we have addressed a host of transnational issues, from combating cybercrime, terrorism, human trafficking, to fighting corruption and protecting our citizens from exploitation, abuse, and violence. Together, we have made significant progress on a variety of fronts. And this week, we're sharing best practices for protecting some of the most vulnerable members of our society, prosecuting those who commit acts of sexual violence against women and children. Together, we will examine how we can improve domestic investigations and prosecutions of these serious crimes, as well as how we can increase our joint response to transnational sexual violence, including in the context of human trafficking, online child pornography, and armed conflicts as well. As we look toward the future of this work, I'm confident that we are going to be able to continue building on the record of achievement that's been established, so long as we remain committed to working together. And that's why I'm so grateful for this opportunity to discuss really just a few of our priorities with you today. And it's why I'd like to begin with a shared challenge that demands, I think, international coordination, robust action, and constant vigilance. Our ongoing efforts to combat terrorism and related security threats. Now, from the quintet's inception, working together to respond to terrorism has been one of our central themes. The importance of this work was brought into sharp focus just last month in the most shocking and tragic of ways when a deadly terrorist attack in the United States along the route of the Boston Marathon left 3 innocent people dead and hundreds badly injured. In the days that followed this heinous act, thanks to the valor of state and local police, the dedication of federal law enforcement and intelligence officials, and the vigilance of members of the public, those suspected of carrying out this terrorist attack were identified. One person has been brought into custody and charged in a federal civilian court with using a weapon of mass destruction, and 3 others have been arrested in connection with this investigation. My colleagues and I are determined to hold accountable to the fullest extent of American law all who are found to bear responsibility for this attack. We will be resolute in our efforts to seek justice on behalf of the civilians and brave law enforcement officers who were killed or who were injured, and to bring help and healing to those who lost friends or who lost loved ones. And we will continue to rely on the support, the assistance, and the critical intelligence and information sharing capabilities of our quintet allies as we advance this and other investigations and strengthen our broader national security and anti-terrorism efforts. Over the last 4 years, I'm proud to report that my colleagues and I have obtained considerable results in this regard. Now, we have uncovered, we have prevented multiple plots by foreign terrorist groups as well as homegrown extremists. Alongside essential partners like the members of the quintet, we bolstered information sharing in a manner that's consistent with the rule of law and with our most sacred values. We brought cases and we have secured convictions against scores of dangerous terrorists. And together, we have taken significant steps to strengthen, to fulfill our mutual obligation to protect and to improve the lives of all of our citizens. The quintet has been really an important mechanism for advancing our joint effort in this regard. But really, all of this is really just the beginning. Our governments have long recognized that regional and national problems invariably demand international solutions. Particularly in recent years, we've also found that transnational cooperation is frequently just as important when it comes to addressing domestic challenges. And that's another reason why we have come together this week to engage with and to learn from one another and to reinforce the ideals of fairness, of tolerance, and of inclusion that form the basis of our legal systems and lie at the heart of our shared histories. Now, this history and these ideals are on full display here at the University of Auckland, where tomorrow's leaders are learning to grapple with the challenges and the thorny legal questions that we'll undoubtedly face together in the years to come. Every day, you are acquiring the skills and the knowledge that you'll soon need to take up positions of responsibility in all sectors of society, not only here in New Zealand, but around the world. No matter how you choose to put this training to work, whether you build a career in business, science, politics, or the law, whether you envision a future defending the accused, bringing criminals to justice, ruling from the bench, leading a corporation, working for an NGO, or charting some other path altogether your own. Each of you will soon be charged with upholding these principles in your own lives and continuing the progress that this university's founders set in motion 130 years ago. And all of you will be called upon in a variety of ways to help honor and to preserve the values that our nations have always shared. Now, in the United States, my colleagues and I are working hard to live out these values and to instill them in a new generation of American leaders by fighting to protect the safety and the sacred civil rights to which every member of society is entitled. We are firmly committed to preserving the principles of equality, opportunity, and justice, from America's housing and lending markets, to our schools and boardrooms, to our military bases, to our immigrant communities, to our border areas, as well as to our voting booths. And we're striving to uphold the rights of every citizen, regardless of race, religion, gender identity, economic means, social status, or sexual orientation. In many ways, no single right is more fundamental to our domestic values than the right of every eligible citizen to participate in the act of self-governance, and that is by the casting of a ballot. The United States Department of Justice is working diligently to safeguard this right by vigorously enforcing key voting protections in order to prevent discriminatory changes to our election systems. We're working closely with elected leaders across America to make more fair, but also to modernize our voting systems, to expand access and participation in our electoral processes. Now, beyond this work, we are moving both fairly and I think aggressively to promote the highest standards of integrity, independence, and transparency in the enforcement of all civil rights protections. We're combating exploitation, discrimination, intimidation, and bias-motivated violence. And we're taking significant measures to address repugnant practices like human trafficking and to prevent the gun, gang, and drug-fueled violence that afflicts too many communities across the United States and too often decimates the lives of our most vulnerable citizens, and that would be our children. Last December, a horrific mass shooting at an elementary school in Newtown, Connecticut, took the lives of 20 young children and 6 adults. It shocked our entire nation and captured headlines around the world. Just days later, I traveled to that school where these unspeakable acts took place. I walked the halls, I saw the blood stains, and I met with first responders and crime scene investigators. When those brave men and women asked me, often with tears in their eyes, to do everything in my power to prevent such a thing from happening again, I told them that I would not rest until we had secured the changes that our citizens need and kept the promise that we've made to all Americans whose lives have been shattered by gun violence. For me and for President Obama and for our colleagues throughout the Obama administration, responding to this senseless violence and working to prevent future tragedies constitutes a top priority. We remain determined to achieve common sense changes to gun-related crimes, to keep deadly weapons from falling into the wrong hands, and to making America's neighborhoods and schools more secure. More broadly, we're also seeking ways to improve America's criminal justice system as a whole and to promote public safety, deterrence, efficiency, and fairness at every level. We're leading historic efforts to expand vital legal services for those who cannot afford them, and to ensure that quality legal representation is available, is affordable, and is accessible to everyone, regardless of status and regardless of income. We are tackling criminal justice challenges that are common to countries around the world by exploring strategies to address sentencing disparities, to tear down barriers that prevent formerly incarcerated individuals from rejoining their communities, to consider potential reforms of sentencing policies in order to afford more flexibility to judges, and to ensure that incarceration used to punish and to deter is appropriate, but also to make sure that incarceration is there to rehabilitate, not simply to warehouse and not simply to forget those who have been incarcerated. Above all, throughout the Justice Department that I am honored to lead and across the American government in which I am privileged to serve, we're working to safeguard the rights of every individual, to stand up for the rule of law, to protect our citizens, and to advance the cause of justice. Now, although our concerns and our approaches may differ at times from the precise challenges that all of you are called to contend with as leaders and as future leaders here in New Zealand, I know that our priorities and our values will always be the same. and our values, our common values, must always be our guides. Our joint commitment and the bonds of friendship that unite us are stronger than ever before. And that's why, as I look around this crowd, I cannot help but feel confident in our ability to build upon the work that's underway in both of our countries, to continue the progress that the quintet has convened to carry forward, and to extend the tradition of excellence that has always been the foundation of this great university. And it must continue to drive an ongoing pursuit of justice in New Zealand, in the United States, and around the world. In this work, I'm grateful for your leadership and for your partnership. I know I speak for all of my colleagues and counterparts when I say that we are very proud of you. We're eager to see what your generation will achieve and where you will lead us in the critical days and years ahead. We are optimistic about the future that you will surely help to create. With the gifts that you have been given, with the training that you will receive at this wonderful institution, comes a profound responsibility that you must feel now and always. A responsibility to make the world better, to make the world more fair, to make the world more accepting. You will have the power and a unique 21st century opportunity to make this so. I would urge you to use that power wisely and for the betterment of our world. You all are the best, and you all are the brightest. I am counting on each and every one of you.